Hey, welcome! Hope y'all are well. There is some stuff to talk about, huh? In my last video, which y'all are being real nice about, thanks a bunch for that, I ended off with a message saying that even if the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl series never continues for whatever reason, what we had so far was some real treasure. But it kinda looks like a sequel is sorta guaranteed right now and a trailer could drop like any day. And whenever it does, I will gladly react, analyze, share passion, ideas, and love. I'm hyped. But until then, we can chat about some other stuff, like today I've got some moveset ideas. I mentioned a bunch of characters in part 1 and part 2 of my recent potential future content for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl discussions. For the sake of time, and sticking to the main goals of those videos, I gave quick pitches on some aspects of certain characters on how they could be unique, interesting, and fun in a game like Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. But now, I'd like to hone in on one of these characters and share a full moveset concept. And today, I want to discuss Squidward Tentacles from the show SpongeBob SquarePants. I hope I can think up something for him that ideally could be interesting, faithful to the character, and fun to play, fight against, and watch. So, when thinking about Squidward, who is this guy? What's he want? Well, he seems like a grumpy guy with a nice heart deep down that usually just wants to be left alone. Squidward wants to relax. He wants to enjoy his Sunday. Ideally for Squidward, he gets to lounge around on his own. But how does that get translated into a platform fighter playstyle? Well, there is an archetype in fighting games known as the Keepaway character. The name speaks for itself. As opposed to rushdown characters or grappler characters that want to catch their opponents, Keepaway characters fight to not get caught. They are designed to win when they keep others away. From what I've seen, a lot of the time, characters that have a playstyle like this are seen as annoying, and sometimes that's because people feel like they're not even playing the game. I guess like, hey, we agreed to a game where we can block, grab, and combo each other, and for a lot of people, getting creative combos is the best part of the game. But when a character seems designed to run away and keep other characters away from them by just throwing stuff, seemingly refusing to engage or do any of their own combos or anything, it makes sense for some people to feel like these types of characters are playing an entirely different game, a much less interesting one. I definitely know some people that seem to enjoy watching a cat and mouse matchup at times, where a rushdown character has to figure out how to catch a keepaway character, and a keepaway character has to figure out how best to box a rushdown character out. I don't think a matchup like that has to be inherently uninteresting. I've seen some stuff I've personally definitely had little motivation to play or watch, but maybe that's because characters could have been designed in more fun ways, or the game the characters were in fundamentally gave keepaway characters certain advantages. I'm sure it can be interesting to see a rushdown character find a creative way to catch a keepaway character, or for a keepaway character to showcase a clever prediction that keeps others right where they want them. And I'm sure characters can still be designed to keep others away while still doing cool creative combos from a distance, and I'm sure fighting them can be much more interesting when the game around them is built in certain ways, like with more creative counterplay options in mind. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl understands all this and doesn't have any real traditional keepaway characters. The game is built in such a way that doesn't really reward running away or constantly throwing projectiles. End lag stacks on most characters when they try to spam projectiles, and everyone in the game can grab, throw, or reflect projectiles in multiple ways. Characters can still set up projectiles and outrange opponents. Rocco's dog is amazing, but these universal mechanics help make the game more active, encourage more engagement. So those that enjoy watching keepaway styles can still appreciate the clever ways players may use their projectiles in range, while matches may maybe more often in other games showcase also enjoyable and creative counterplay. Actually, I guess Toph did turn out to be a keepaway character optimally after some patches made her fully charged boulder immune to being grabbed or reflected, so to that point, I would personally prefer any of Squidward's projectiles, and all projectiles probably, to be grabbable and reflectable. All this to say, I do think a keepaway style fits Squidward. While the rushdown style fits a character like Sandy because she can get competitive, maybe be a bit of a show-off, and just genuinely loves fighting, Squidward doesn't care about any of that. He just wants people to get out of his face, and if he can just disengage and leave, then he will. Sandy may see an opponent as a fun opportunity to show off, while Squidward probably just sees them as annoyances getting in the way of his lounging. In that sense, it would also be faithful to Squidward's character to make sure that even if he is more of a keepaway character, that he isn't an annoying one, because that would actually be antithetical to his character. Squidward is more often annoyed, not annoying. There are definitely fun ways to do this, where no one is designed to feel annoyed. The game is already thankfully built in such a way that mitigates some potential annoyance, with the projectile stuff and how some potential strong, longer-ranged moves could be rock, paper, scissored. But it's also totally reasonable for Squidward to not have as much range or as many projectiles as a typical keepaway character may have, while still having some more range than a typical Nick Brawl character. And like many keepaway characters have lack of speed as a weakness for balance, I think it does also fit the unmotivated lounging Squidward to have a bit less speed than the average Nick Nick Brawl character. So, if Squidward as a character fundamentally wants to be left alone, he should have some sort of reward for getting people away from him, which also encourages opponents even more than usual to play the part and go in to bother Squidward. I had fun thinking up some moves, but it all really came together thanks to Josh, so everyone please say thank you Josh and I love you Josh, because he suggested that Squidward's down special could be him setting up his lawn chair like he often does and getting a little bit of relaxation. During this, with each second that goes by, Squidward can heal a small amount of the damage he's taken, like maybe 5% a second. This could really add up over time, but with Nick Brawl having chip damage and just being as fast as it is, I don't think this would be overpowered. So when Squidward finishes some combo or KOs an opponent, he can try to relax a bit before they come back to bother him. This way, Squidward is justifiably motivated to participate in fights, not because he loves fighting, but because he loves relaxing, and he can only do that once he gets opponents out of his face for a bit. Players can play however they want, of course. If they'd rather chase down opponents instead of taking moments to lounge, that's up to them, and that can still fit Squidward's character. If he tries to relax and someone bothers him and he has to put his chair away and shoo someone off again, it would be sort of like watching an actual SpongeBob episode. But if a player wants to chase people down with Squidward, it could still feel like scenes where Squidward would get really mad and make sure people wouldn't bother him anymore. Either way, just the threat of healing with this move dictates a bit of the dynamics in Squidward's matchups. I think it would be nice for this lawn chair lounging move to have a fair amount of startup, but also have a little hitbox so it could stylishly go at the end of a combo. Doing just a little hit, but still, I like the idea of an opponent at high percent still getting launched away as Squidward already enjoys his time with them away. This move should also have a fair amount of end lag so that Squidward has to be careful about when he is or isn't safe to relax, and can be punished for trying to relax when he hasn't made sure he can yet. The relaxation could last as long as a player holds down the move. With this, Squidward would have an easier time relaxing on bigger, more casual stages where he can get more space between him and his opponents. And when matches are more serious and competitive, Squidward would have to be more careful about when he can squeeze some rest and relaxation in, which I think just makes sense. This should also be fine to do in the air. Squidward doesn't need to have any extra jumps, and with the way ledge invincibility already works in the series, it's very easy to make it so that Squidward can't run away and stall and heal forever. He would be super vulnerable even trying it, so yeah, I guess let him do this in the air, it could look funny. I guess I can propose some more special move ideas from here. These were mentioned in the big overall discussion too, but another reason Squidward might be vulnerable off stage is because his recovery could be the reef blower he used in the episode Squidville. There could be a fairly weak hitbox on the front of this move, but I think this move also works without having a hitbox at all. This could be a nice burst launching Squidward in a direction he chooses with the player able to arc it slightly. This move could recover alright on its own, sending Squidward a good distance at nice angles, but something like this would also be a vulnerable move that's relatively easier to edgeguard compared to some other recoveries. Having a relatively more exploitable recovery gives Squidward another weakness to balance out potential positives, and this also just feels more fitting for Squidward. If he wants to get out of a bad spot, he's probably gonna have to struggle for it. But also, at the bottom of the move, where the reef blower is pointing, there could be a small but fairly strong, funny wind box to play around with that further shows Squidward's strength and goal in pushing others away. And one of those aforementioned potential positives could be his neutral special, Squidward's clarinet. This move seems pretty obvious to a lot of people. Squidward loves his clarinet, most people in the show seem hurt when he plays it, and Squidward in many past games has used his clarinet to shoot projectile notes. Squidward's clarinet is even an item already in Nick Brawl that shoots these musical notes as projectiles. The item shoots a lot of notes that cannot be grabbed or reflected back that strongly send people in random directions. It's frankly one of the best, if not the best, item in the game. So if Squidward uses his clarinet like this, he could definitely tone it down a bit. His notes should be shot at a much lower rate and could be grabbed or reflected. The knockback could be weaker, but maybe still random. If it doesn't create any big issues, then that could be really fun. And hopefully I'm not getting too specific, but I'm imagining if you tap the button, Squidward could play one note that makes one projectile that floats slowly enough for Squidward to pick up and Z-drop or throw in some direction, whatever he wants to do with it. Players could also hold the button longer, instead triggering a sound effect where Squidward starts more of a full performance. With this, Squidward could leisurely float out a bunch of slow notes, slower and slower the longer he goes, and after a certain amount of time, when the player finally stops playing, if they didn't already get interrupted, Squidward could have some extra end lag as he thanks his audience and bows. Now, for Squidward's grounded light attacks, I feel like a lot of people would like for Squidward's jab, or light neutral or forward tilt, whatever you want to call it, to be his kick with the janky-ass hitbox. And I agree, this would be great. While being a long-lasting funny joke suggestion, a kick like this has history in the show, similar kicks being done in episodes like Mind the Gap, Friendiversary, and Artist Unknown. So it would be faithful and historic, and along with that, this is also a fantastic summary of Squidward's entire potential playstyle, at least the potential one this video is going for. A get off me sort of move, which is how it's used in the show, Squidward kicking to literally get SpongeBob off of him. Instead of being a combo starter like the other SpongeBob characters' jabs, this could be more of a combo ender. A decent poke getting right to the point. Point being that Squidward doesn't want to play. And yeah, I guess it could actually have a janky-ass hitbox. That could be funny, I guess, sure. For Squidward's uplight, I think his head heating up with actual fire and anger could be a perfect combo starter. This is something he often does in the show, and sometimes when he actually gets this mad, he's motivated to participate, start something, and take his wrath out on opponents. I imagine this being a quick multi-hit attack with about 3 hits, so you could have some more frames of him stewing in anger before he really lets the opponent have it with some follow-up attack. For his downlight, I think we could see Squidward garden like he likes to do. So how about this, a 2-part move. The first time a player presses downlight, Squidward uses a gardening shovel to dig a plot of soil to put a plant in. This could pop opponents up for follow-ups. And one potential follow-up could be that if the player presses downlight again quick enough, then Squidward fills in the plot he just dug with a nice flower. The act of planting that flower can have a nice semi-spike, so while you could experiment with whatever follow-up you want to try after the first hit, you could just go with this reliable second hit, popping people up and smacking them back down, a simple little combo. And adding more ways to play with this move, maybe the soil dug up and thrown behind could be a weak little projectile too. This isn't a direct reference to anything specific, I just think it would be fun to play with. Though I guess it does sort of capture the carelessness of how Squidward sometimes has fun at the expense of others, like when he litters in the paper, earning him some of the karma he gets back. People could even grab or reflect the soil to give Squidward some immediate karma, and Squidward wouldn't be able to spam this goofy little projectile because if he presses down tilt again too fast, he'd get that planting move. For Squidward's light aerials, not every attack has to be a reference to something. It's obviously okay for characters to have some quick flips or swipes as simple combo extensions that feel good. I could see Squidward having some simple, decently ranged tentacle swipes, but I do also love shoving in as many references as I can, and I think I did find fun references that could all be fun attacks. Squidward's light aerials can all be decently ranged combo extensions used for when he's motivated to fight back, and if he has to participate, he's gonna do it his way and show off some of his talent. So for his light up air, I think he can do this fun dance with the swirly eyes where he juts his arms above his head and also kicks out his legs, giving players multiple hitboxes to perform with. Some may find this awkward, but I think true Squidward fans will be glad to see him shine in his own unique way and appreciate his art. For Squidward's light down air, Squidward can show off his showmanship with a cane, like he did in the episode I Heart Dancing. This could hit in many ways, but at least right now, I like imagining this cane spin hitting 3 times and sending opponents down. Squidward's light neutral air could be a bit different, showing off a bit more of his expertise in gardening. I don't know what this tool is called, and I somehow couldn't find out. I looked up gardening tools, I checked the wiki, and it just did not come up. I don't know, but this is some gardening spray Squidward has used, like in the episode Squidferatu, and I think it could be fun. I imagine the tool itself would have a hitbox, and the spray would too, and if you hit it just right, you can have the opponent get comboed by both, from tool to spray. I also imagine a little cloud of this urchin spray could linger for half a second, so even if opponents aren't hit by the tool, or for the first frames of the cloud appearing, they might still flinch a bit after by the spray sticking around a bit. So this could be another helpful ranged and disjointed move to start or continue combos that Squidward could use. On to Squidward's grounded strong attacks. I think his upstrong could still be an eruption from his Captain Magma helmet, like mentioned in part 1 of my recent discussion videos, but these days I actually like the idea of him doing some of his ribbon dancing more. He can say voila or tada while twirling a pretty ribbon, displaying his talent that opponents unfortunately won't appreciate and instead will feel hurt by. This would have nice disjointed range, be a nice anti-air, be pretty to look at I think, and yeah, just be cute showing off more of Squidward's artistry. For Squidward's down strong, he could try to get some of his frustrations out with a little tantrum, stomping on the ground about 3 times. I keep picking 3, which is fine I guess, but anyway, yeah, he could say like no 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 or go away, 1 syllable for each hit. While it may be awkward to hit people directly with this, you definitely could, like if you're on a platform above someone, but at the same time, things don't usually go Squidward's way when he's having a tantrum in the show anyway. And for his neutral strong, I actually realized that Squidward slams his door a lot, and it would be another great move to show his goal of shutting opponents out and being left alone. He could be another good disjoint a bit ahead of him and send people away at a more steep angle. I think this could make for a nicely sized, nicely ranged, strong, faithful option for getting people away from Squidward. For the air strongs, I moved over the pizza delivery to be Squidward's strong neutral air. The door slam seems more like it should be grounded, while this pizza delivery can be done anywhere, that's all. But yeah, a simple direct hit with a pizza box referencing the original pizza delivery episode while Squidward shouts on the house or delivery. I think that'd be great. For Squidward's strong up air, he could splash some paints at you, again with a decent amount of disjointed range. And for Squidward's strong down air, he can again have a disjointed decently ranged attack by slamming down a block of marble in frustration, like he did in Artist Unknown. And as a possible satisfying detail, if he misses with it, the block stays intact and goes away, but if he hits an opponent or some ground, then it can crumble like in the episode. For Squidward's light dash attack, he could bump into an opponent with this fun dance move from the Sponge on the Run movie. This faithful reference could also show that engaging isn't his strong suit. It's a bit riskier for him, as like, for this move he's putting almost his entire hurt box ahead with no protection. But hey, if he hits it, then he gets a nice reward like every other dash attack, getting to cancel it into all sorts of other fun options. And for his strong dash attack, Squidward could have a similar move in theory called Karma. I imagine Squidward could try to ride his bicycle but fall off, like in the episode My Pretty Seahorse, launching himself ahead, maybe at the opponent accidentally. On hit, this could cancel into whatever else, but if this move misses, he would actually tumble to the ground in a knocked down state, needing to get up with whatever option, maybe a get up attack, whatever you pick after getting knocked down. I like the idea though that if the Squidward player chooses to stay down for, I don't know, maybe 8 whole seconds, then Squidward takes like 100% damage as a big explosion erupts from him, really hurting anyone nearby. Referencing episodes like My Pretty Seahorse or Jellyfishing, where after biking, Squidward would just explode. He would just blow up. And if you use this close to an edge and launch Squidward off stage, it could still be cool and cancel upon hitting someone, but if you miss and just have Squidward fall, then the usual KO effects could be replaced with a non-damaging explosion, letting you know that wherever Squidward fell, he still blew up. I think that'd be fun and funny. Alright, that's what I got for the main moveset. For some extra stuff, Squidward's get-up attack could have him push anyone around him away with one set of tentacles, while the other set works on standing him back up. I specifically like his expression in this animation from the episode Boss for a Day, and think parts of it would make for a great get-up attack. And his ledge get-up attack could be a more simple push, as if to say move it or get away from me, maybe similar to his fun line delivery from Opposite Day.
Get away from her!
For Squidward's taunt, this is pretty simple, and there are plenty of other fun options, but I think I like a simple, unenthusiastic raise of the eyebrows while he says, of course, like he sometimes does in the show. For Squidward's entrance animation, I like the idea of him already being on stage reading or lounging, and flinching in annoyance as he notices the other fighters make their entrances. Also, Squidward has mentioned that he inks when he gets nervous, so I think it could be a neat little detail if you see an ink puddle appear and quickly fade away during Squidward's teeter animation. For Squidward's victory pose, his Band Geek's freeze frame moment comes to mind, but I think that's too major, it's a bit too special. I mean, I'd take it. I wouldn't be, like, disappointed if it was that, but I don't know. Another option I think could work nice and be really cute could be the camera starting on a shot of Squidward smiling before it zooms out to show that that's a self-portrait of Squidward doing the same smile. Then he can set that down next to his lawn chair and get that lounging that he fought so hard for. For Squidward's losing animation, maybe he could majestically flow in the background as handsome Squidward. There were a couple times he got hurt real bad, and for some reason it ended up turning Squidward into this memorable, handsome version of himself. So maybe that, but I'm pretty sure there's another option that we might already know about. So that's the moveset, that's the concept. And, like I said in that discussion video, I think all of this works with Squilliam as a variant without sacrificing any part of Squidward's character. Variant, Echo Fighter, clone, bonus character, whatever you want to call the concept. This Squidward moveset was made to be all the way Squidward, faithful and fun, but as long as Squilliam puts on more smug expressions and has a few aesthetic differences, then I think he could absolutely also join the Brawl family by borrowing this moveset. Squilliam is, essentially, a character that exists to be a seemingly objectively better version of Squidward in every way, someone that Squidward wishes he could be. So if Squilliam just did all the same moves but with more smug expressions, as if to say, no Squidward, this is how it's done, then I think pretty much all of this would be perfectly faithful and in character for Squilliam too. He could use a fancy painting of himself instead of a pizza box, and a completed marble statue, again of himself, instead of the base marble block. The hurt boxes can be the same for the taunt too, Squilliam doing the same pose, but now wiggling his unibrow around and saying, it's big and valuable, like in his Band Geek's debut. For Squilliam's entrance animation, which doesn't have to have the same hurt box since it doesn't affect gameplay, Squilliam can just get finished with bowing to adoring fans who already celebrate him by throwing roses near him before he's even done anything. For Squilliam's victory pose, he can laugh as he just leaves the results screen, going to some yacht/casino party, being too good for everyone else here. And for his losing animation, he could be so stunned that he actually lost that he gets stuck in a loop of repeating humana humana humana, like in the episode Squilliam Returns. Idle animations can work too. I imagine one of Squidward's idle animations could be pulling out an issue of something like House Fancy and giving it a read, as Squidward so often likes to do while idling around at the Krusty Krab. And another idle animation could be just sighing, you know, like, all unsatisfied and stuff. Squilliam could instead pull out an issue of, I don't know, something like I'm Already Rich Monthly, and for the other he could let out a sigh of relief, like, so satisfied with his perfect rich life. Squilliam's lawn chair could also have some red carpet and a crown on it for him. All aesthetic changes with the exact same gameplay totally works. Though my buddy Dill did have a fun suggestion. If they did have some sort of Echo Fighter-like difference in gameplay, then Dill suggests that all of Squilliam's attacks do 1% more than Squidward's, making him actually just objectively better in every way. I don't know if we'd get any gameplay changes or variants at all in the first place, but I do think that's really funny. Out of everything, I guess Karma is the move that feels the weirdest for Squilliam to copy, but even then I imagine Squilliam having some voice line like, "Now that's how you explode," and I think it works. So what do you think? Does this sound like a moveset you'd like to try to play, fight, or watch? And does this concept sound like it faithfully fits Squidward? I think moves in an overall playstyle like this could really make viewers feel like they're watching a SpongeBob episode, and I personally want to play and try to get cool or funny clips when I think about this. It's a relatively simple moveset, with Squidward having an above-average range, but slightly slower than average speed to be a mild keepaway character motivated by being left alone. And Squilliam also smugly doing the same and keeping losers that don't deserve to enjoy his presence away. But there are so many ways to design Squidward and bring him to life in a platform fighter. You could instead tap more into how he wants his talent to be recognized and lean into a design where Squidward considers the fight a chance to perform, having more moves centered around his paintings, dancing, and clarinet, making him a more show-offy, maybe rush-down or glass cannon character, overwhelming the opponent with all sorts of art. Or maybe you could take Squidward's gardening further, being able to plant a flower but then also water it so it could blossom into a warbling water lily. Oh, and another fun downstrong could be throwing his Krusty Krab hat down like when he quits. That's a fun grumpy Squidwardy thing he could do. Personally, I can see a sequel coming at some point, and I can see Squidward fighting in it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the actual designers come up with if any of all that actually does come true. In any case, thanks for watching! Hopefully this was enjoyable. I guess I'll be back with something else, maybe another moveset concept because I do find these fun to make, and yeah, wishing y'all well and see ya later.